It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was up. I hit rock bottom.
Remember when the biggest scandal in Sean Diddy Combs' life was that hotel surveillance video? The one showing him dragging and kicking his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hallway? The whole world watched it and reached the same conclusion. This was it. This was rock bottom for Sean Combs. That was 2024, and we couldn't be more naive. Because what followed the release of that footage wasn't rock bottom. It was the beginning of an unending descent. A trial. A conviction. A 50-month sentence to be served at FCI Fort Dix in New Jersey, where Diddy's set to stay until 2028. In short, the cracking of an empire that once made Diddy the most powerful man in hip-hop. 9 months into his sentence, Diddy continues to make headlines, and this week it happened again, thanks to two new developments that immediately set the internet off. A $55 million mansion sale and legal fees story that tells you everything about where things stand and Diddy's empire. Or what's left of it. Let's start with the mansion. In 2021, Diddy paid $35 million for the waterfront estate on Miami's ultra-exclusive Star Island. A 6-bedroom, 8.5-bathroom compound sitting on 1.3 acres with 240 feet of water frontage, a pool, a spa, and a private dock. Now, this past July 14th, according to The Real Deal, that same property sold for $55 million. $20 million in profit in just 5 years. That's not a bad return on investment on real estate by any measure. And on paper, it very much looks like a savvy businessman cashing out at the right moment. Except Diddy didn't cash out. Reportedly, he was cashed out. While Diddy was sitting in a federal prison cell, his team processed the sale of the property where some questionable parties were thrown. The very same property that was included in the $50 million bail package Diddy's lawyers tried and failed to use for his release back in 2024. This is not the first time Diddy's $55 million property is on the news. Back in June, a man named John Franklin had sued the corporation which owned Diddy's mansion, claiming he entered into an agreement back in March to buy the home. And when the previously agreed closing date of May 12th came, it was crickets. The news of the sale means that the dispute quietly settled. And now, somewhere in New Jersey, the man who once called the property home signed off on it from behind bars. For the record, Diddy still owns the property right next door. The one at Star Island. You know, the one federal agents descended on by boat in March 2024. The one which, according to court documents, housed more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, as well as various freak-off supplies including narcotics. So Diddy's not entirely out of Star Island. He's just down one mansion, which, depending on how you look at it, is either a man restructuring his assets or a man liquidating them. And the internet believes it's definitely the latter. There might be truth to some of these comments, because the second development that's been making the rounds this week pulls the curtain back on exactly how expensive it is to be Diddy right now, and especially how far he's willing to go to manage those costs. Remember Grace O'Marcaigh? The woman who alleged she was working as a steward on a yacht Diddy chartered around in 2022, when his son Christian aka King Combs allegedly forced her to perform a sexual act against her will. She had sued Christian for assault and Diddy for civil responsibility, alleging he fostered a lawless atmosphere on board. Diddy denied any involvement, stating he wasn't even a party to the charter agreement. A California judge ruled the court didn't have personal jurisdiction over Diddy, practically a win for his side. But rather than leaving it there, O'Marcaigh's legal team filed an amended complaint, adding new allegations. Diddy is now asking a federal judge to sanction Grace O'Marcaigh and her lawyers, arguing that the amended complaint did nothing more than repackaging the previously dismissed arguments, ultimately forcing Diddy to spend more money on what his team calls a meritless case. And what they're asking is simple: make O'Marcaigh and her attorneys pay his legal fees and costs. Sit that for a second. A man serving a 50-month federal sentence, a man whose reported net worth is $400 million from behind the walls of FCI Fort Dix, is trying to get a sexual assault accuser to pay his lawyer bills. To understand the scale of what's happening to Diddy's empire and why he's so desperate to have his lawyer bills covered, you have to go back to October 3rd, 2025, the day he spoke in court before his judgment, addressing Judge Aaron Subramanian. "I lost my freedom and the opportunity to raise my children and be there for my mother. I lost all of my businesses and lost my career and destroyed my reputation. And most of all, I lost my self-respect. I have been humbled and broken to my core. I hate myself right now. I've been stripped down to nothing." And he wasn't wrong, because the financial wreckage of Diddy's empire isn't just a story about lawsuits and hefty legal fees. It's a story about a man who built everything he has on relationships and watched every one of them get destroyed before his eyes. The biggest was Diageo. Back in 2007, Diddy partnered with the drinks giant to promote a vodka brand in their portfolio. And then, in 2013, they bought a tequila brand together. Over the course of their partnership, Diageo reportedly paid Diddy around $1 billion. Basically, this was where Diddy's "I'm a billionaire" claim stemmed from. But then the allegations arrived, followed by the arrest. And as expected, Diageo walked away immediately. Diddy's recalculated net worth at the time was still a humble $400 million. And even though it sounds a lot, it may not be, especially for a man who has to defend himself against more than 30 active civil lawsuits simultaneously. Legal fees in cases such as Diddy's can run into 8 figures territory, and that's exactly why a $55 million mansion sale that nets a $20 million profit doesn't look like a smart real estate move, but more like a man quietly raising cash. Not that anyone forgot about it, but the settlement Diddy reached with Cassie Ventura saw him pay his former girlfriend a whopping $20 million. Who could know how many out of those 30 civil lawsuits will result in similar settlement deals? The empire may not be gone just yet, but it's definitely a very different empire from the one that existed 5 years ago. It's an understatement to say that the Bad Boys commercial peak is long behind it. The Spirit's billions are someone else's now. The properties are being liquidated one by one, and the lawsuits keep piling up.
I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
In a story like this, silver linings are hard to come by. But for Combs, the only thing that's positive about his life for the last few years has never left his sight. Since the beginning of his downfall, Diddy's children are showing up and publicly demonstrating their support for their father. While everything else, the legal system, the internet, and the financial reality is pulling in one direction, Diddy's children are trying to hold on to their once envied father and his empire. Will the empire survive until Diddy's a free man is an entirely different question.